Hello out there in healthcare world. We are here, Dr. Grant and Dr. John Brimhall is speaking at the time, and Clark Tilley to bring you an amazing webinar tonight and talk to you about upcoming things that are happening. We are sponsored by Optimal Health Systems, which I believe is the best nutrition in the world for two reasons. One, it's all organic whole food that's non-GMO, and then you take it and we bathe it in a protein that people say, how do you pre-digest it? Well, protein digesting enzymes, well, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, all with plant enzymes that break it down to the smallest constituents. So it literally is organic, whole food, pre-digested, extremely high potency, but the absorption is up to 300% better. So no matter what products I have developed through the years, and I have done over 200 now, but this is the best of the best that I have done, because of the pre-digestion, and it is all whole food. So there's no synthetics in here, and there's nothing that the body can't utilize because it's already there, ready to go to work. We're going to talk tonight about some new products that we have added, and CLA is one of the newest. OptiBrain was just brought out in the last couple of months. Stem cell nutrition called OptiStem is also new. Let me talk to you a little bit about what's going to happen at Homecoming 2018, and then we'll turn it over to Doug and get things rocking and rolling. In Homecoming 2018, we are really, Dr. Brett and I are going to go back to where we make sure everybody is understanding the basics. I've gone into offices where I've referred patients to an office that has taken the Brimhall work, even been certified, and they're not getting percussion. They're not getting the adjuster or the arthro-stem used on them. Or some of the doctors are using activator instead of the arthro-stem. I mean, it's not that it isn't a good product, but you certainly can't compare holistic health care, whole wellness care that we offer with the 6 steps to wellness to an isolated, even an isolated adjustment, particularly not using the arthro-stem or the percussor adjuster. So Dr. Brett and I are going to go back, and I've even been adjusted by some certified docs. They're not using the adjuster properly. They're not using the percussor. They're not holding it enough where you get the complete flip. So I'm going to go over that step by step. We're going to have hands-on. We're going to have practice. Of course, we're going to do a doctor and the CA treating Thursday night, and Friday I'm going to kick it off with the literally step-by-step procedure of how we can do it. And there's been literally hundreds and thousands of doctors in the last few years that have bought new arthro-stem, new vibrocussors, and never had the training. So we want to open it up to them and let your family and friends, and those of you who have added new doctors, new CAs, we will train them with hands-on. Now, we don't want to take the whole hour just talking about Homecoming, but Doug has about 6 hours of training of all the new products and how to use them, and how to use them for fitness, wealth care, health care, and financially boosting yourself. Dr. Harris, he's so humble, he doesn't really want to talk about himself, but he graduated from high school at age 7, college at age 9, and before his 13th birthday, he received 3 PhDs, an ND, naturopathy degree, and a medical degree. He's the only person I've ever met that could read 25 articles, correlate in his head, and give you a summation. We have him 3 different times speaking at Homecoming, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He's going to go over methylation, which is one of the greatest SNPs, or single nucleotide polymorphism, that exists in the population in the United States. He has developed a way of evaluating that, not only from 23andMe type of situation, but also with muscle testing. We have a test kit made that'll be available there. He's going to demonstrate to you how to find out where the methylation block is, even without doing the very expensive testing, or how to understand it, even if you get it done. The test kit will show you step by step. So never has this been done before, and we're having those made in England for us as we speak. Patrick Porter is joining us this year with his Brain Tap. Dr. Brett has been using him for years and years and has alluded to it, but he himself is going to be here this time, showing how he uses light and sound and can do anything from relieve stress to the body, to increase the endorphins in the body, to building up the immune system. Jonathan Walker is back on point. Since we're talking about integrated medicine, which Dr. Mark Harris will talk about because it's the way he practices. Also, Dennis Harper is coming. Dennis Harper is actually teaching the biological allograft injections throughout the United States and other countries. And we're going to tell you, if you're interested, on how you can hire a nurse practitioner or a PA or a naturopath to work with you if you're licensed not to do injections. And I may not want to do injections ever in my lifetime, but it doesn't mean I don't want them done when you can put stem cells or precursors to stem cells in the body and regenerate the tissues. Now we have the OptiStem that also gives you the nutritional support, and people that used to be hopeless and helpless now can start to regenerate. Just incredible. And Jonathan Walker does this advanced work, including peripheral neuropathy, extremity correction, etc. And he manages 4 offices at a time, all very profitably. Jesse Liebman is going to speak with Dr. Walker this year in peripheral neuropathy alone. This month, he's going to top 200,000 for the first time. So it's not about making money, but it's about helping people to the level the money takes care of itself. So we're going to go over that, and we're going to talk about some of the new work that Clark is doing in getting more patients in your office. Chris Serafini has been using this, a certified Brimhall doctor, to great success. So we're going to show you how to help more patients, be exacting in the things that you do, how to make more money while you're helping more patients, how to expand your practice into a multi-care, multi-discipline practice, if that's what you choose. If not, you're certainly going to know where to refer your mother or your wife if they wind up with problems. And Dr. Harris is even going to talk about how to prevent cancer. And since he's licensed to treat cancer as a naturopath, he's going to tell you some of the natural things he does to both prevent and to help to reverse serious situations. Well, Doug, I could go all night because it's going to be so exciting, but let's turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thanks, Dr. John. And I'm excited to be here. As Dr. John mentioned, we're gearing up for the big homecoming event. And, you know, we've been to a lot of seminars over decades. All of you, you know, sure been to Florida Chiropractic Association, the Parker Seminars, CalJam, all these great places, which are great and encourage everyone to go to as chiropractors. But, you know, it's another thing to have a specialized homecoming seminar expo, if you would, where it's very specific to your clinic and your needs, and you don't have to like, oh, should I do this, should I do that, and the research has been done and they're there to help you so that when you leave, you can quickly, just the next week, put things into practice to start building your practice to a new level, no matter where it's at. So this is a specialized seminar that we love, and after going to all of them all over the place, we really enjoy this. So we highly encourage everyone to do that, to come see us. In fact, on this subject that we're talking about tonight, we don't have time to go into some of the details that we'll be able to go into at the seminar that will really open your eyes to the research as to why some research studies show one thing and others another. So you'll be able to decipher between the two, to know what's best for you, for your family, for your patients. And so we're very excited about that. Tonight we're going to be talking about the most talked about problem in the world today, according to the CDC, that leads to the most diseases. We're going to talk about why people have a hard time improving their health and fix this problem, and what you can do as a health professional or even as a patient or some in the public to fix the problem. And it comes down to a few factors that we'll talk about, but let's take a look at it real quick. The latest statistics, okay, so we're talking most recent, show from the Center for Disease Control, and it's backed up by World Health Organization and many others, that 1 out of every 3 people in the United States are obese. 1 out of 3. Not 1 out of 3 are overweight. Not 1 out of 3 have an extra few pounds. 1 out of 3 people are obese. And if you take a look at the research on obesity and what it does and the cost to the healthcare system, the cost to the human body, to the years taken off your life, to the quality of your life that you can have, it's absolutely, positively one of the things that we should focus on. And I think many times, especially in practices, we don't focus on it. We're afraid we're going to hurt someone's feelings. They come in because they have a low back problem or a neck problem or are not feeling well. And we try to pinpoint a specific area, a specific spinal adjustment and things that we need to do, which is important, but we overlook the elephant in the room by not saying, you know, all of these things that we're working on will work better if we lose some body fat. We get our body in its right body mass index, that we're able to get our fat to muscle ratio better and stronger. And as health professionals, it's your job to let people know. If they come in and they have kyphosis or leaned over, you're going to tell them why they have that and what they need to do to fix it. If they have scoliosis, you'll tell them they have it and what they do to fix it. But yet, many times we don't tell people because we have to do it, find a nice way to do it, but we don't tell people, hey, really, for your health, we need to find a way to help you lose some body fat. And but it's critical, and I think that's one of the areas that we need to really get past the hurdles. What's interesting is the statistics for America is 1 in 3 are obese, but when you look at the statistics in doctors' clinics, in other words, your patients, your patient base is as high as 2 out of 3 are obese. So in other words, the people that are coming to doctors, holistic or even allopathic, that the higher number of those patients are obese than the overall number in the United States, which tells you something. It tells you that obviously, not even if you didn't have the statistics, which we do have, but that the more overweight a person is, the bigger chance of them getting disease, the bigger chance of them having a lower quality of life, to have aches and pains, to have subluxations, and so on. So we know that they need to be given options to reduce body fat, that because we're not, you know, truly treating the whole body and cause of disease unless we do. But the key is we have to give options, because not every person is in the same mental state as another. In other words, it usually comes down to the mental state. It's like if someone smokes for years and then they quit, and people say, well, why did you quit? Well, one day I decided to, mentally decided to, and they did. And so we have to take a look at the mental aspect of it with patients to see where they are at in their journey to help them to reduce body fat and to get going. And that's one of the great things we're going to talk about tonight. So what does it take to help your patients reduce body fat? Well, for 25 years, we've been doing it with doctors, patients, along with Dr. Brimhall, with ourselves, with professional athletes, with Olympic athletes, with just the public. And so we've really got into the psychology of body fat reduction, what it takes, what works, what doesn't work, what works short term but not long term. And we know what the situation is. It takes understanding that every person is in a different place mentally. It takes different options based on the patient. And the neat thing is that quick help is possible if the patient will make a few simple changes. And that's the thing that's so important. I have found over the years of consulting literally thousands and thousands of people that it comes down to, let's have you start with these changes. Tell them what they are that you're wanting, get their commitment, and then go from there. And depending on people's attitude, their mental motivation at the time will determine which things I tell them I want them to do. If an athlete or someone comes in that's just fed up with things and they're like ready to get in shape, I know I can throw the book at them. You're going to be at the personal training and nutritionist online. Here's your program. You're going to take these supplements. You're going to eat this eating plan, and I know they're going to follow it. When others are just not there. So we'll help you find out what you should recommend and when to get long-term consistent results. And that's really the key. The eating plans, programs, all these things are available through Optimal Health Systems, either for free or through purchasing, that then you get the benefit in your clinic. So you can help your patients no matter what their needs are. To make it real easy, before I get into the research, this is what we usually do with a patient that has the low mental motivation at the time. A person came in just the other day, and I sat down and I could see that their health was making it so that they need to lose weight, but they weren't as committed as they should be. So I said, what I do with all of the people that are at that point, let's cut out fried foods, no matter what your activity level is. One man said, I work all day, so I'm already getting my exercise in, you know, and the wife didn't work very much. And I said, I don't care. Both of you, no matter what you're doing, on top of what you're doing, walk briskly 15 minutes a day on top of everything. Then we had them cut out sodas, only drink mainly water for 12 weeks, and have them take one specific nutrient we're going to talk about tonight. That little plan that you can basically put on every single person can guarantee fat loss so that they start getting motivated, then they can go to the next level. That's simple. So if you don't take anything from this talk tonight, follow those 4 steps with patients that you know just need that first little step, and they'll start getting results today. And we'll talk about that nutrient. What is it? To help reduce body fat, Well, for the first time ever, as Dr. Brimhall said, we finally came out and said, you know what, there's enough research. We've scoured, we've watched this for years and years. In fact, it was just a year and a half ago that Dr. Brimhall was talking about it, and we were going back and forth and had been watching this nutrient. And it wasn't until some new studies came out that we finally pulled the trigger on it and made sure that this nutrient called conjugated linoleic acid was in the right form to be able to bring out to the doctors and their patients. Because as you'll see, that it's not just this nutrient called CLA, it is the form this nutrient's in that makes a difference in the studies. So you hear a lot of hype out there. You're going to hear a lot more, especially with the latest going on with CLA, from the Kardashians taking it and reducing their body fat dramatically to Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton. You know, it's just all over the place. They're all saying, well, what are you doing different? Well, I'm taking CLA. And so it's going crazy, and it is important for doctors to understand that, but it's important also to explain why your patients need to be on a specific form and not just go buy any CLA. But if you're not watching the shows and looking at the news lately, it's important for me to put these little pics up just so you can see that this is really serious, that people are catching on to what this nutrient can do. But part of the problem is that a lot of times, because it's so hypey, companies are getting involved that aren't giving good products and not giving good research as to how to take it, when, and so on. So it's going to get a bad rap in some circles, but yet based on the research studies, we know it can work. And one of the reasons that CLA works so well, and I'll get into its mechanisms of exactly how it works at a chemistry level, but one of the great things about it is that the research shows that it's not just helping reduce body fat, but it's helping people increase or at least maintain lean body mass. That's huge, because that makes it so that long term you're able to increase your metabolism, your metabolic rate, since muscle burns more calories than fat. A pound of fat burns about 3 to 5 calories. A pound of muscle can burn up to 100 calories a day. So we want more lean muscle so we can eat more food and keep the fat off. And that's one interesting thing about this nutrient that surprised me, because it's not known as normally an anabolic nutrient like creatine or some of the other nutrients we use. But yet it not only helped to reduce body fat, but it also helped to be able to retain muscle. Here's one of the big ads that's in major magazines out there today, talking about safflower oil, which is basically how we come up with the CLA today and the formulas, and I'll talk more about it. But it's the richest source of linoleic acid available, and that's one of the reasons that we use it, is it helps encourage the body to produce lean mass at the same time of reducing body fat. Muscle and fitness for women, some of these major magazines that are out there, Oxygen, Women's Health, they're all coming out with just big old articles on CLA. Well, this will be in the next issue. CLA helps you fight fat and make muscle. It boosts your energy. It promotes better health. It's natural. It encourages higher metabolism and so on. And this isn't even on a product. It's just on CLA. And so your patients are going to get bombarded with this information over the next few months if they haven't already. You pretty much can't watch a show today without them talking about it, or coming to, what is this thing called CLA? Is it real? Some people saying yes, some people saying no. Well, I'm going to cut through that with you tonight so you can see the research on this really specific nutrient. So let's look at what CLA has been proven to do clinically. It's been proven to boost energy, and mainly through the metabolism of fat, so that then that fat's used as energy. It's rich in antioxidants. It eliminates toxins that have been built up and helps regulate the metabolism. So we know that it's working in a different pathway than normal fatty acids, and I'll show you why in just a second, but I don't want it to be confused with essential fatty acids that are out there, like DHA, EPA, and that we use like with our Optimal EFA formula, or people that do fish oils, things like that. Completely different fatty acid, completely different mechanism operation in the body. It's very important to know that this is a different ballgame with this nutrient. So I want to explain and get a little technical for a few minutes, because it is so, the media is going to be so proliferated, and already is with this, that it's very important as health professionals you understand what conjugated linoleic acid is, where it needs to come from, so that your patients and yourself don't get caught up in the hype and take something don't get the results, and all of a sudden now say, you know what, all that hype out there was just hype. There's no truth to it. And it's very important that you understand this process. So the word conjugated has to do with the arrangement of the double bonds in the fatty acid molecule. So if we break conjugated linoleic acid down, I try to do it here and make it real simple for us to understand so we can stick more with what it does versus getting too deep into the chemistries of it. But technically what you do is when you have a fatty acid, a carbon chain, you look to see where the double bonds are. You know, if it's at the third level, it's an omega-3, at the 6, omega-6, and so on. It's kind of simple to understand that way. But when we're talking about CLA, it's a different animal. What happens is we have different bonds at different parts, but we have a cis bond and a trans bond, and so you'd say, gosh, this looks like a trans fat. Well, it is a trans fat, but what a lot of people don't understand is that trans fats that come out of the environment are extremely damaging to the body, but the body actually has trans fats that it gets from food that is extremely beneficial to the body. So not all trans fats are bad. That's why we all need to vote against the legislation to ban all trans fats, is people to understand. I mean, if you just look at the literature, it depends on what type it is, whether it's healthy or not to the body. And CLA is a very specific trans fat, and there's two of them that are important, two of the CLA forms, to where the cis and the trans junctures, if you would, the double bonds are at different places. So there's two different types of CLA, and that's important to understand because the research shows that both of them combined together creates the best results in the body, not just one of them. And so we'll get to that. But I want you to see exactly what we're talking about there. I hope it makes sense a little bit to you. Let me just explain one more time that CLA contains both the cis, the C, and the trans double bonds. So that when you see that number on there, like T10 and C12, they have to do with the placement of these bonds on the fatty acid chain. The difference between the CLA forms is that the double bonds, as you can see there, are arranged differently. It's important to keep that in mind. Although it's a minuscule difference, it makes a huge difference in the body when we're talking about metabolizing of fats. So it's a type of polyunsaturated fatty acid with both bonds, but it's the natural form of the trans fat. So if you just look at the literature and pull up Medline and do a PubMed search, you can see that industrial trans fats are harmful, but you'll also see many studies showing that when it's naturally found in foods, that it's extremely beneficial to the body. So it's important for everyone to understand that. There's some studies I just want to go over with you real quick so you can see why everyone's talking about this. It's really exciting to see it. This is one double-blind study that was performed, human study, important to understand. Journal of International Medical Research. It was a smaller study, but it was a great one. There's 20 people at 12 weeks were able to reduce the body fat 20%, and they took around 3.4 to 4.2 grams of CLA a day for 12 weeks, and that's important for you to look at, doctors, as we come back to it, is what was used in the studies and how much was used in the studies. So on the left, we saw that the percent body fat before, and then over to the right, that the control group actually that took the CLA reduced the body fat, and the placebo group did not. So that was one of the interesting studies. Another double-blind placebo-controlled human study was done with some Swedish researchers, and lost 400% more fat than the placebo group over and over again. It was over a 12-week period. Again, the second factor I want you to look at is not just how much is taken per day, but how long. And so this group had the same nutrition and training regimens, so they were able to take that out of it and say, okay, here's the only difference was the CLA, and that they were able to reduce 400% more body fat. You see pounds of fat loss 5 to 20. So it was a great study done there, and you can look that up. You'll see that we also have paid really close attention to the studies of the amount of CLA needed. So if you take a look at this graph and look at the blue line at 3.4, have they lost more body fat? But if you took too much, you actually, it came down. You didn't lose as much body fat. So we know that there are specific amounts that is needed to be taken in order to get the ultimate benefit. Another study that was done that was very exciting There was announced at an obesity conference where they actually presented the study that showed with taking 3.4 grams of CLA today, they had a 9% decrease in fat mass, 2% increase in lean muscle mass, which is a great research study. Another one out of Barcelona showed that the body fat, so when you measure the 100% of the body fat, so let's say a person loses 10 pounds of body fat, okay, that 78% of that actually came off in the belly region. And that's really exciting to those of us in the industry because there's been no such thing as spot reduction, and there still isn't. Like, you don't do ab exercises to reduce body fat in the abs. Your body fat, where it comes on first, usually it comes off last. That's just the way the body works, and it works holistically. But what's interesting in this study is it was like that the conjugated linoleic acid knew, and the body knows, that the most damaging place for body fat is in the stomach because of its effects on hormones in the body. And so that's the area that came off the most. And that was really, really intriguing to me to see that it wasn't just evenly over all the body, that it was mainly from body fat. And so I could go on and on so that with the studies, but I really, really wanted you to see that the research studies out there are strong, and the research is very good on it. Now, I could also bring up some studies to show, well, they didn't get this benefit, they didn't do this or this. And in those studies that show there was no benefit of CLA, it was because they either weren't taking the right dosage for a right period of time, or they weren't taking the right form of CLA. And that's really an important part here, because the studies that went for 12 weeks and had anywhere between about 3.5 to 4.5 grams of CLA a day, they got good results. They had great results when they actually made sure that both of the CLA forms, the ones with the C9 and T11 and T10, C12 were combined. So can you get CLA from your food? Sure. But in order to get 3 to 4 grams a day, like it shows in the studies, you'd have to have 24 pounds of beef or 50 pounds of cheese, 10 sticks of butter, and so on and so forth. You can see that it really, the damaging effects eating that much food would far outweigh the benefits. So since you can't really get enough from dairy foods and meat and those types of things, where do you get it from? And how are supplements made? How is the supplements that are on the market today made? Where do they come from? And that's where you see the safflower oil comments, is that, yes, it comes from safflower oil, and it's produced from linoleic acid because of the high amounts in the safflower oil, but it's the process of converting the linoleic acid into conjugated linoleic acid is the key. And if that process is not done right, because it has to be converted, then there is a problem. It has to be done gently, it has to have the right pH balance. It's an enzymatic process to make this happen, and that's really where we come in, because we've been in the business of enzymatic processes for over 25 years. It was the early 1990s, I think, with Dr. Brimhall that we sat down, we're going over enzymes and probiotics, and no one even knew what the names were and what they were and the importance of them. And so the enzymatic process we've evaluated extensively to make sure that the process is done right with the CLA that we use. And that's what makes it so much more powerful than other formulas on the market. So the conversion process is the key. It must be done properly, as I mentioned, so that it will make it powerful. Now, let's take a look again, and I will shy away from heavy-duty research after this and get into a few more things, doctors, but I really wanted to make this point because it's so important. There's so much hype and junk out there today, and you're going to hear good and bad on this nutrient, that if you just understand the basics of it, you'll be able to see why it's important if you use it right and use the right form. Not all CLAs are created equal. Different CLA, conjugated linoleic acids, are named based on where, as I mentioned, the cis and trans bonds are on this chain. It's an 18-carbon chain. And so if you have them at C9 and T11, that's one form. And then you can also have them at T10 and C12. It's a different form, as I mentioned. And so you're like, well, you know, what's the difference and what's the importance of it? Well, there's a great study. There's a few of them, but this is one that you could look up if you'd like, where they actually took a placebo group. They took one group with one of the conjugated linoleic acids, another with another, and then a group with them combined to see if it made a difference in body fat loss. And this one they actually did with postmenopausal women where there was such a huge, problem obesity-wise on hormone imbalance issues and so on and so forth. And so they took this group, and what they found was that the mixed CLA group, the one that made sure they had both of those CLAs in it, had less total body fat, 4% less lower body fat, and so 7% lean body mass compared to the control and even the C9, T11 CLA group. In other words, the more than the placebo group and more than just the group that had the one form of CLA in it. So we know that the form of CLA that is critical, we know how it's processed is critical. You can just get safflower oil and put in supplements and say it's a CLA supplement when in reality it's a safflower supplement and not so much the CLA, because it has to go through an enzymatic process. And people say, well, I don't get great results. Well, you're just taking safflower oil, then you're not taking CLA, and that's really important. And as I mentioned to you, it's how much, how long, and the right type. And that's where LipoLean CLA comes in. Is we made sure that we covered all the bases to make it super simple for your patients. We put enough capsules in the bottle to last 12 weeks, and that's taking 4 grams a day. So the patient doesn't have to buy a whole bunch of different bottles and things. It's like, here's one bottle, be honest, take 4 grams a day. We tell people to put it next to their bed. Wake up in the morning, take 2 capsules. You go to bed at night, take 2 more. That's your 4 grams. I formulated it so that it would be 1 gram per capsule, so it's really simple to dose. So we're dosing at 4 grams of CLA a day, 2 morning, 2 night. And so your patients are able to do it. It's very important that they stay consistent. If they miss 2 or 3 days, it's going to have to start over. They'll still get benefit, but you get the compound effect if you stick with it consistently versus having to start over again. And if you guys ever read a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, I highly recommend it. It's not nutritional. It's just the compound effect of life, and it's a great, great book. But the same thing happens metabolically, that if you take it consistently, just like with exercise and nutrition, there comes a time when you're pumping that well and it just starts pouring out, and the benefits are, synergistic. They just are greater than just the individual act. So what does CLA do? It helps prevent fat from being deposited in the cells by speeding up body fat metabolism. It helps the body metabolize existing fats and returns to the bloodstream where it's used as energy by the muscle cells. And you'll lose inches in the right places and drop clothing size because you're able to metabolize fat at a higher level. So it's important for the patient not to take CLA and then all of a sudden make their diet worse because they think, oh, I'm taking something to reduce body fat. At a minimum, they need to keep doing exactly what they're doing, not anything worse. But if they'll follow the 4 basic steps that I mentioned before, to have them make the changes to the diet, to get off fried foods and sodas, start exercising, even brisk walk 20 minutes a day on top of whatever they're doing, and take the 4 CLA capsules or 4 grams a day, they're going to get results. So when we're talking about the steps for a patient and their mentality, if they're not at least willing to cut out fried foods and sodas, walk a little bit each day and take the capsules, they're not ready to make a change, and they truly don't want to lose body fat. It's up to us as health professionals to make them realize, look, this is harming your quality of life. It will take years off your life if you don't fix the problem. And here's a simple way to start. Motivation, you're guaranteed you're going to lose body fat percentage if you follow these basic principles. And then after they start doing that and they get some results, you can say, okay, now as your doctor, I'd like you to have a personal trainer nutritionist. And they're like, well, I can't afford that. I can't afford to get a personal trainer nutritionist. We got it, but that's what we're here for. We're here to, as doctors, to be able to let the patients know that they can have a personal trainer nutritionist in their pocket. They can have us. Those of us that have trained, we've trained over 50,000 training sessions, one-on-one, in gyms, in homes, online, and we can help your patients. But it's basically your program. You're saying, patient, I have a program, which is us, and you put them on it. And the patient goes on the program. We work with them. We customize their nutrition. If you want them on a specific diet, you want them on a keto diet or anything you want, you tell us. If not, we'll just put them on the program that, based on doing a consult with them, they need, and we get them going. And you, as doctors, receive the benefit for referring the patient, plus we keep you up to speed on how the patient's doing. So now they're coming in for their work with you, whether it be the adjustments and the different work that you do that Dr. Brimhall was mentioning. And then they also are on a program outside of your office, work on their nutrition and their exercise. So things you do work better, they improve their quality of life. You benefit from it by putting them on the program. We keep you informed of how they're doing. Basically, you're their professional trainer nutritionist. You just have us do the work. And so it's a great program, but not everyone's ready for it immediately. For the ones that are, the ones like I talked about, and they come in, you know they're ready, boom, I'm going to set you up on this. I'm going to put you on the CLA formula, LipoLean, and whatever other nutrition you need them on, and then we take it from there. So the key is that there are steps, and every single patient in your office, doctor, can benefit from reducing body fat. And so what we want to do is provide a simple process to do that. If the patient says, great, I'll take the CLA, is there any eating plans or anything I can do? If you don't have one, you get a hold of our office. We'll send you out some just free to hand to them of healthy diet, eating menus, whatever it might be. If you already have them on a plan, no matter what it is, if you're hooked up with different companies or different things on different types of plans that are out there, put them on that and have them start the CLA. I know Dr. Brimhall is real big on the keto diet. Well, I just saw the other day some people talking about CLA and being on that diet and the benefits because of the fatty metabolism. The athletes like we have that are on the the higher carb, fruit, vegetable, grain type protocols love it. They get the same benefit. So no matter what eating plan you have them on, or you even want us to put them on, we can put them on for free. They can have a certified nutritionist do it, whether it's from your clinic. The CLA can help benefit them. But what I'd love everyone to take from this webinar tonight, before I turn it back over to Dr. Brimhall to talk a little bit more, is to take this home, that 2 out of every 3 patients that come in your clinics, at a minimum 1 out of 3, if you take the national results from CDC, need help to reduce body fat. They need help. And the problem is where they're at mentally and what they will commit to. Getting rid of a few foods that they know they shouldn't be taking, drinking more water, getting off the junk drinks, and taking CLA with a little movement each day, that's something everyone should commit to, because you can guarantee them they're going to reduce body fat and improve their quality of life. For the ones that are past that they're training already, or they're ready to, we can help them too, all the way up to the professional athletes. Right before I got on this call tonight, we were talking to Miami Heat and putting some programs in place for them for the new year. So whether it's patients that really need it, that are barely able to get around, to the high-level athletes, doctors, you now have programs that you can use to help them. So I'd like you just to commit to every patient that needs it. Get out of your comfort zone. Let them know that they will benefit from reducing body fat. And this is a very simple way to do it. Just to let you know, there's a 25%, which is crazy, it won't be long, discount on the formula for you to try with patients for going on for just a few more days. So make sure you call the office, the 1-800 number, 890-4547, and Steve and Eddie and them will take care of you and help get you ready and set up for your patients to help them reach those goals. So Dr. John, did you want to comment on the CLA or anything along that lines as we're speaking?
Absolutely. I've been in this 48 years now, and sometimes, particularly when people have heard me lecture, and Doug is as bad as I am, it's like drinking from a fire hose. We've studied this so long, we eat, sleep, and drink it, that we want to give everything at one time. And the nice thing about what we're showing you tonight is this is simple. Anybody can do this. You take 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules at night, which is 4 grams. 3.4 to 4 grams does it. He said tonight and several times, I want you to understand this, every person could benefit from CLA, because every person can benefit from having more lean muscle mass and less fat. And this is one of the few products that is so simple to do. And if you don't want to just go out fried food and walk for 15 minutes, then you aren't serious at all. But most people now are starting to understand how serious the condition is of obesity. And you just go out to eat or go to a grocery store, it makes you cringe. How in the world do these people pack this around? Just take a 20-pound weight and put it in your backpack and see what that's like. And many of these people we're seeing are 50, 100 pounds overweight. So let's start somewhere, and this is a good place to start. Let's start on the CLA, 2 in the morning, 2 at night. From there, What if they're tired all the time? Well, why don't we put them on OptiAdrenal? If they raise up after they've been sitting or lying down, they get dizzy. There probably isn't 2% of the population that doesn't need OptiAdrenal. How many people need more mitochondria? Well, if you want to be healthy, do you want to have more energy? Everything that we've done is a synergistic blend. This is one of the exceptions here, except we do have a synergistic blend for both types, to where it works amazingly on massive amounts of people, even with massive amount of weight or little weight you want to lose. This is what we're trying to tell you. Doug and I have spent our lifetime understanding this to where sometimes we get complicated. Now we're coming back to the fact, what do you want to do to make it simple? First, let's put on more muscle mass and lose weight. That's CLA. But what you really want to put on the muscle mass at the same time, even better than using the drugs, muscle RX that Doug developed. So learn the OHS products. They're simple, they're easy to use, they're self-sufficient. Everybody needs better enzyme. Part of the 6 steps to wellness says digest your food better. There's the optimal enzyme. You want to have probiotics. The probiotics that Doug has developed literally represents different stages in different parts of the body that need different types of probiotics. They're all in one capsule. So hopefully you'll come to homecoming, which is the last weekend of February. We went backwards this year to February. We're usually in January because we were working on all these new innovations. We wanted to have them mastered and be able to bring them to you. We have the group that's coming that is every year we get better. But we have stem cell nutrition, stem cell therapy. We have multidisciplinary people that are speaking that are making it work in their own offices. Like say some of them making $200,000 a month just on one aspect of multiple discipline. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Just come and learn the basics. Do the adjuster, the percussor, use the nutrition we've outlaid for it. But if you really want to go to the next level, functional medicine, you'll never find better functional medicine teachers or doers than we have right there with Dr. Harris, myself, Dr. Brett. That's the way we live. So
I want to mention real quick too, at the homecoming, there'll be people there to be able to talk on the products, on the programs, treat people that Dr. Brimhoff treated, people that have been on the different formats. You can hear testimonials, and we're going to actually bring some great examples of people that did nothing except for the CLA and the benefit they got from it, like some of your patients will be. And then we'll also have some people that are athletes that know their body inside and out, and the only thing they did different besides their extreme eating and exercise that they already had been doing is take the CLA, and their bodies went to a new level. A person that just won the USA championships, first place in the nation. That was the only difference this year versus last year, and things like that. So another great reason to come to homecoming is to see live how the different formulas, techniques, and everything that's going to be taught there work, and hear it from the people themselves.
Doug, why don't you brag a little bit on your wife, what she's been able to do following this type of program?
Well, she's the one that won the USA, so I wasn't going to say who it was. But I only mention that just because, in our home, we know the diet specifically that is followed. It's down to the gram of carbs, protein, and fats. The workout is down to the specific repetition. Every day we track it. We have pages and pages of being tracked over years. And so when we talk about being able to make one little change to see if it works or not, we know if that one change works. And if it doesn't, we back off and do something different. And in this case, as Dr. John mentioned, my wife Hillary took second last year in the United States for her, it's called figure bodybuilding. And this year she came in and took first, and the only difference was, besides the training in that at a high level, was the introduction of the CLA, and it made that difference. And so whether it's that or a person that just needs to get back in shape and needs to lose 20-25 pounds, and that's the only thing you do different. We have a person that lost 16 pounds, just that's the only thing different. It's the only thing you could attribute it to. So the key is either side, both areas, whether it's high performance or just those of us trying to be healthy, you can see the difference.
We would like
how about a couple of questions?
Great.
You talk about this is a 12-week program, is this like a one-time shot of 12 weeks, or is this you can go back on it after a period of time? Talk about what the long-term kind of program is.
Well, this is Doug. Me and Dr. John were talking about that the other day because the studies were really interesting on it. The studies show that you need to be on it, 3 months, 12 weeks to get the results. But the long-term studies that have been done now show that there's a consistent fat loss very consistently for the first 6 months, and then it slows down a bit. So the question is whether people should cycle off of it for a couple of weeks and then get back on it. And I kind of like that concept. There was no reason not to not stay on it as far as problems, but I think that makes sense to let the body reset and then get back. So basically 2 bottles worth, or 6 months, and then taking a few weeks off is what we're feeling and seeing can be the most beneficial. But again, it's not like it's something that has to be rotated off or done in a cycle.
Yeah, there's no side effects of this at all, and it's just like anything else. Sometimes you give the body a little rest and you come back, it understands more, can do more. But this is a great product, probably the best that has ever been discovered. But it's the key is that Doug found it takes both times together, and it's the 12-week period, and the 3.4 to 4 grams gave the optimal results. That's why we call it Optimal Health System.
Does pairing the fat sugar trim product added to the CLA have additional benefit?
That's a good question, and the answer is yes, but you got to understand why. Because the fat sugar trim formula is developed, and as Dr. Brimhall attests to, really helps with fat reduction from a different level, from a balancing the blood sugar, as we know is important with insulin for keeping the body reduce body fat and not store more fat, especially in the liver. And also the fat sugar formula has a lot of an enzyme called lipase that digests fat, that helps you break down the fats that you consume and that. So it's a different process from metabolizing, almost an oxidation of the fats that the CLA does, versus the digestion and working on the blood sugar level. So it can be a great synergistic formula. You're not doubling up, if you would, on the same pathways, 2 separate pathways. So if a person is going to go, every way, which way they could to get the most benefit, that's a great question, because you would take the fat sugar trim formula between meals, and then the LipoLean CLA morning and night. It's a great way to look at it, from improving fat digestion and also metabolizing fat. That was what the CLA formula does.
That leads us into exactly why we teach homecomings and other seminars, because what if that person also has a low thyroid? Should they take OptiThyroid? What if they have adrenal exhaustion? Should they take OptiAdrenal? What if they need more muscle mass? Would they take Muscle RX? The answer is yes, but how do you know? Just visualization can tell you somewhat, but the muscle testing we teach tells you. The functional medicine that we teach, working through SPN. So we're looking at this thing with science, but making it so simple. Anybody just getting started can just start with the CLA. But if their temperature's low, we can put them on the OptiThyroid, fatigue, OptiAdrenal. So we're going to tell you, how far do you want to go? How much do you want to know? How much do you want to help people? We can do it simple, or we can certainly show you how to do it more and more in depth to get better results. And what if you're just so sick and debilitated you can't recover? That's where we use the biological allograft injections that Mark and I have been teaching across the country. I'm not licensed to do it, but I can hire a nurse practitioner to do it. He's licensed to do it. Have I done it? Absolutely. I never tell you anything. I've never, ever taught anything I haven't first done myself. I'm 70 years old. Somebody thought that I was 57 the other day, so I'm not going to correct them. I think just because our birthday says we're 70, we don't have to be 70. So, any more questions from Derek Clark?
There's a question here about what future products are in the pipeline.
Ooh, that sounds like they're harassing us. But yes, definitely OptiHeart is right behind there. OptiLung is coming. What else, Doug, you have going on?
Well, we have those, the OptiHeart coming, OptiLung. We're also looking at some products to help with the different diets that practitioners are promoting out there today. Dr. John's been wanting to get something on the on the keto line and things like that, that there has to be new innovative ways of going about it, or we don't do it, or a special form that we can use. And we've been working on some research on it for quite a while. We're just waiting on some final results to go down that road too. But I think that those are the ones that are coming right now. And I think in closing, it'd be good to just kind of sum up what Dr. John said, which was so brilliant. It is this, that there are many things people can do to improve their health. And tonight's discussion of reducing body fat, just to stay on subject in closing, is that we can go as in depth as your patient wants to go or your clinic wants to go, to help them with more muscle with the Muscle RX, to help the adrenals if that's a problem from fatigue, the thyroid, all of those things. And many of them might be keeping the patient from getting the results. That's why they need to come to your clinic and you need to learn these things. But at the same time, it's important that we back up and say, okay, what are the very minimal things we can do to get this patient motivated, to get them going? And sometimes I have to bite my tongue and just basically squeeze my leg when I'm talking to someone to not put them on everything under the sun and say, this person's right on the edge. They need to do the basics. They need to eat healthier. They need to get their adjustments. They need to take the basic nutrients, in this case, like CLA and things to digest, to help with fat and to digest their food. They need that, and I'm going to give them a few weeks, and then I'm going to lay more on them, and after they're motivated and they see the results, and go from there. And I think that what we're trying to do tonight is to lay out to you health professionals, look, here's a simple system. Don't let any patient come in your clinic at all that you don't put on these basics. And then, as Dr. John said, do the testing with them. Make sure, find out what they need, and then start working them into the other things. But if the patient comes in totally motivated, man, then you've got all the arsenal you need. And we're glad to help you come to the training in February and be able to get all the education so that you'll be able to help your patients no matter what level they're at. We sure appreciate y'all.
One other thing, too, that you need to be aware of, and we haven't said too much about it because we're in the stages, the OHS is building a brand new facility. We're going to break ground here in the next week or two, and we hope to have it ready to go by the early part of next year. Dr. Harris, as I said, with his photographic memory, has read and therefore memorized the 11,000 pages of the genetic code. So he is working with me in very special formulations that will be coming out this next year, because he can see and how, I mean, he's not even human, I don't think. I have no idea what planet he comes from. But by seeing all of the genetics in his mind at one time, he can see areas that are blocked. And with the OH nutrition, we're going to be able to change the epigenetic expression of people with genetic SNPs. So that is our goal. That's what we're working to right now, and it's a big project. But stick tight. Please watch the puzzle pieces. Please watch the EduMails. We're going to have a lot of webinars coming up over this next couple of months, because we want the speakers to be coming at the homecoming to speak to you. You can get a taste and a flavor of what's going on. So watch it, and thank you, Clark, for everything you've done tonight for us, and thank you for being here. Talk to you soon.